Also, like pragmatically speaking, I got two kids. I got an almost 11-year-old and I got a 1-year-old, right? So big gap. It's been fun. I want my kids to have the same freedoms and the same opportunities that I had. You know, I grew up in a single parent home. My mom worked a bunch of jobs to kind of get us to go by. We relied on a food pantry sometimes. And now, you know, my wife and I, we've worked hard, and you know, the American dream, it does still happen. You know, you gotta bust it, but like, it's possible, right? And with these chuckle fucks in charge, I am concerned that that's not going to be a thing. So here I am, you know.
I love it.
I watched your how do you call it? What would you call it? Like a launch video, I think.
The launch video,
your promo. Yeah, your promo video was kind of like, I'm gonna get this guy with the Macho Man impersonation. Your promo video.
That was good, though, by the way. Sorry.
Your launch video that you have prominently featured on your website.
Yeah.
Garrett4ny.com is you basically go through and you tell everybody up front what you're about, and you're explicitly clear. You know, I'm for this. I'm for this. I'm for this. I want to do this. I want to do this. So I encourage everybody that's watching this live stream, whether it's right now or later when you decide to click on it and be like, let's see what these guys are up to today, go to www.garrett with two R's and two T's for ny.com. And his launch video is right there. Watch it. It's very concise. There's a lot of Garrett walking around, standing in neighborhoods there's like a basketball goal in the background. I don't think he does any dunks on it. I don't remember seeing any of that, but he tells you
my shooting game is not great. I was more defense growing up.
Is it possible can we see it now, Sarge? Can we pull it up now?
Let me see.
I can. You don't have to do it. I can do it.
All right, then I'm gonna mute myself and cough myself out of existence and enjoy some of this.
All right, that means that it's gonna have. It's all on you, Matt. It's all on you. I gotta find this.
Me, I'm just here.
It's literally Garrett for NY. Just go to Garrett for NY, and it's like right there in the.
Okay.
I thought you had it. If you don't, I'll pull it up. I got it right here.
Wow, it tells you he's ready to go. I've got it. If you don't, I'm ready to jump in 10 minutes later.
I was going to pull it in. You know, I don't know. It's tech savvy.
All right, here we go.
There.
All right, here we go.
It's not easy raising a family on Long Island. Everything is expensive. Homeownership has become a fantasy for our young people. The cost of childcare is insane. Groceries and everything else just keep getting more and more expensive. It sucks. It used to be that Long Island was for the middle class. Now, aside from some rich guys, we all have to bust our asses just to get by. I'm Garrett Petersen, and I am tired of breaking the bank just to raise my kids here on Long Island. I'm running for Congress because DC is just making it worse. I've spent my entire career helping those who need it most. First in the classroom, and now with Long Islanders who have disabilities. When oligarchs demanded tax breaks at the cost of our education, our healthcare, and our jobs, where was Andrew Garbarino? Asleep on the job, literally. Politicians who care more about here and here instead of right here are to blame. In Congress, I'll create good union jobs for our kids and protect public education. I will not rest until abortion is again legal everywhere in the United States. I will fight against book bans, attacks on free speech, and demands from the powerful that we be silent. I will fight to protect and defend your rights and freedoms from the elites who don't care about us. It's time to stop giving massive giveaways to big corporations and to give Long Island a break for once. If we don't, our kids are going to be priced out. Let's fight back together for them.
Nicely done.
Thank you.
It's good video work too.
Listed out right there, automatically establishes dominance. Very clearly says, I am progressive, fuck the oligarchy. Yes.
Oh man. And I didn't hear I didn't hear any double speak. Right? I didn't hear any. Well, I know that abortion is a very iffy subject and a touchy subject, but I believe every woman should have. No, motherfucker. I want abortion legal again.
If you don't support abortion, just don't have one. Like that should be the law. Like it's pretty straightforward, you know.
Fair enough.
Yep.
And yes, the production quality was very good. I was very happy with the people we got for it. It was funny, like they have to do like makeup and stuff like that. And the woman who was doing it, it was the first time she'd ever dealt with a beard like mine. For them. So that's why you can see it's straight, but it's blowing sideways.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
You had a makeup artist and everything. Wow.
It was a weird experience. I'm going to tell you, it was the first time I'd ever done anything like that.
All right.
You got the whole crew out there then. So
who are you selling out to? What's going on? How are you getting this money for all of this makeup artists,
right?
Great looking cameras. Awesome script.
I'm going to be honest, man. It's all small dollar donations. I have not gotten any corporate money. I've not gotten any super PAC money. I've not gotten any lobby money. It's all normal people, saying, "Hey, I believe in this guy," and kicking in money. That said, listen, if the game association, that does all the tabletop stuff, if they want to cut a check, I'll make an exception for that. I've been rolling dice since I was a little kid, so that's the exception, right?
Hey, do we make exceptions for D&D, Big Sarge? I think I can. I feel
like that's fair, right?
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
If it's going to be a corporation, it might as well be the nerdiest one there is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I feel like if there were a candidate out there that cut a video of them playing D&D, but somehow made so that they were rolling dice to do some political charisma checks. That was part of the script. I feel like that would be a solid win. So just an idea for the next video that you want to do. And if you need extra people around the game table, I volunteer as tribute. I'll do that shit for $3.99.
So I will say this. If you check out my social media, I have done at least one gaming convention as a candidate with specific lit for it. And
I love it.
Some of my TikToks and Instagram videos, I'm either, because they want you to do stuff while you're talking, that's the thing.
Right.
So I'm either painting miniatures or I'm doing stuff with my 3D printer. So,
What's your poison on painting miniatures?
Right now I'm mostly doing BattleTech because it's what I got time for.
You have spoken Big Sarge's love language.
Yes.
All right. So as somebody in the chat mentioned, I am a House Davian guy. I've been playing BattleTech since 1990. All right.
Victor Steiner Davian can do no wrong.
Exactly, right? So I've got a bunch of third Davian Guard that I'm in the process of working on. I'm sure the camera's not really showing the quality. They just came out with a new box set with the Avatar. So it's literally what's on my painting table right now. But yeah, I don't get a whole lot of time to paint, obviously. But once the kids are in bed, I'll get a half an hour here, an hour there. And that's my way to kind of wind down and kind of relax in the evening.
Very nice.
The very first mech that I played at the gaming table, they're like, "Oh, you're from Scotland. You should play the Highlander." And I'm like, "Okay, cool." And they're like, "No, you know what? Let's figure out how to get him a Highlander 2C." I was like, "All right, cool. What?" And they're like, just one thing, death from above. And I'm like, I'm here for it. I don't know what any of this means. And then I read the book and I'm like, yes, let's go.
There you go. So I've got a lot. So in college, I was actually the guy who ran the local gaming store as my night job. So I have tubs of miniatures for a dozen games, and my pile of shame is gigantic. Let's just leave it at that.
I'm still the same.
But I played a lot of Warhammer Fantasy, 40K, Flame of War for historicals back in the day. Since like I said, since I had a kid, my first kid, it dialed back a lot. And now with a second and running for Congress, I roll dice maybe once every couple of months, and I'm lucky.
Yeah, I can see where that would definitely come in. Especially when you get into the nitty gritty armies that are real intense. I don't know what you ran for 40K, but I know what it's like running Tyranids and Orcs, and it's just like, oh, I'm gonna need 50 more models on the table by Saturday. All right, great.
I had mostly Space Marines, but also Tau. I was always like, it's the future. I should be shooting things.
Mm-hmm.
And then for the big thing was fantasy. Like fantasy was my jam.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would go to GTs and things like that. I had Empire and Lizardmen. And the Lizardman army, there was like 80 skanks. There was a lot of painting.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. As is the way with anything from GW.
Yeah. That's why I like BattleTech and Alpha Strike. It's like, oh, there's 12 models in the army. I'm done.
Yeah. It's like how when they came up the various Imperial Knights for Warhammer. Okay, my army is one giant robot with like lots of cool guns on it. All right, I'm sold. I'm there.
I can paint one guy even if it's a giant guy.
Exactly.
So if I can change the subject from orcs, I apologize. We can always go back.
The only non-nerd in the panel.
Well, I'm a nerd.
Please keep us on topic, sir.
Not that kind of
He's not this kind of nerd. All right, that's fair.
Yeah. So, but I am reminded that I have someone on one of my teams who met you, and they met you in DC, and they live like it was maybe DC. No, maybe not DC, but at a protest. At a protest, not in DC. Excuse me. So, and they happen to live like in maybe like the neighboring county or whatever the district is, the neighboring district.
Mm-hmm.
And
not one of those fucking tree camp people, right? Tree and whatever the fucking guy's name is.
No. Oh,
never mind.
Jesus Christ, no, not them.
Another shot of cough medicine for Big Sarge.
All right. So this good friend, and who's also on one of the teams, is in the neighboring county or the neighboring district. Saw you at a protest. I also see that you're in the protest, like literally in one of the pictures on your website. And I said on this show that I'm kind of done voting for people who aren't in the streets, man. Period. What's your view on not everybody there? We got some octogenarians out there, but even Bernie's in the streets when it comes down to it. What's your view on that?
Don't sell the little lady short, man. They're shooters, at this point, they don't mess around. So a lot of this comes down to, like I said, I've done the boring organizational back end work, building the party out, grassroots organizing, stuff like that. And that includes organizing and managing protests, right? And like at the end of the day, I am 5'11" and like 270. Very often I am tapped to be the guy standing there in case people cause problems. Like I've been punched in protests. I've had a scrap or two, right? I think that the moment that we are in calls for us to be visible and be out there and be loud. And listen, not everybody is somebody who's comfortable getting nose to nose with somebody and getting in their face and yelling at them. But you have to be a symbol. And especially if you're an elected official, right? Like I'm a candidate now, but I was just a normal dipshit for years, right? If you're a candidate or you're an elected official, like you've got to lead, and I will say this, right? Leadership takes many forms, military leadership, civilian leadership, not-for-profit leadership. Like there's different forms of leadership, but there needs to be leadership. And if you're an elected official in this time with all that we're dealing with, like you have to meet the moment, or maybe you shouldn't be here anymore. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I abstractly understand like some of these folks, they've been around, they remember the old days and they're having problems updating their priors. But like if this was year one of Trump, like I get it. We're in year 7, you know? Or yeah, technically year 7, but really like year 11, right? Like
Yeah.
you know, my son does not remember a time where Donald Trump wasn't a thing that we all had to deal with, right?
Yeah.
He's gonna be 11 in a couple months, you know, like
My son was born during the pandemic.
What was that?
My son was born a little bit before the pandemic.
Yeah, he was born in 2015, so 6 months or like a year of Obama before everything
Went off a cliff.
Yeah. But like that's my point, right? Like if you're an elected official and you're one of the Trump administration, like I get like not getting the moment and having to have some time, but like the time for that has passed, you know? There's an entire generation of people who do not remember a time before Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Which is sad, but
my youngest is about to turn 15 in like 6 days. And
happy birthday,
his mother and I have been, well, before she passed, we were always politically active, and he remembers how much we hate Donald Trump versus how much his mother's mother is a huge fan, and how that was a severe problem for us. So
I'm fortunate in that regard that the immediate family is not really there. My in-laws are kind of apolitical. They grew up in the Soviet Union and they came here. My wife, they were all born in Ukraine. You know, my wife's born in Kyiv. So they kind of had that internalization that you kind of keep your politics to yourself, you keep your head down. My wife obviously has grown up here and it feels very differently, but like that's really the most that we deal with. And like I get it. It's a response that they learn for the first 30, 40 years of their lives. Like, you know, I don't think you can turn that off too easy. So
now we're like 4 years into a war there. So
my mother-in-law was literally on the phone with somebody there the night the attack started.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I only know one side of the equation that supports Russia. So
yep.
It reminds me, the good folks over at Tip of the Spear Landmine Removal are deploying again to Ukraine. We just had a post up about that a couple days back. They'll be going over there to train EOD troops for Ukraine, as well as clearing mines out of areas, in particular the urban civilian areas that have been just not just mines, but also improvised explosive devices, whatever the Russian troops could leave behind to kill as many people as they could.
Yeah,
I like they need an intel wing.
Like even if the Russians all go home tomorrow, it's going to be decades until
easily
secured and safe and mineswept. I mean, there are pockets of France that are still, you know, no-go zones from World War I. You know.
Yeah. These guys are using every trick they learned in Afghanistan. They're all Green Berets. And they are using everything they learned in the field there from all the nasty little tricks that they put up there to try to do everything they can to save civilian lives. And I noticed a bunch of other organizations similar. They're doing other things in that same vein. Just those who felt that they couldn't walk away from the troubles of the world and needed to do something.
Yeah.
And it's very, at least to me, it's very moving to see people who are, in some ways, some of the most jaded people I know, but it's still like, this is absolute wrong in the world. I'm going to go do something about it.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, what's your position on money to
money.
These wars, to Ukraine, to to Israel, the whole thing, all of it?
I think those are two very separate questions, to be honest.
Well, so here's I'll frame it for you.
Yeah.
There's some who say it's time to stop paying for wars anywhere. There's some who say that some wars are worth paying for, because they go for democracy, and spreading democracy is a part of what we've been doing. Some people say regime change isn't worth it, but maybe some say it is. So that's why I put them all in the same vein.
All right.
What's the philosophy?
So my philosophy is self-determination is a sacred human right, and everybody should have it, and everybody should respect everybody else's, right? So in that context, defending Ukraine, assisting them financially, material-wise, putting sanctions on Russia, putting the screws on, is the most clear-cut, ethically defensible defense action that anybody in the West has done since at least Korea and arguably World War II. I'm a firm believer in that. If I had my druthers, Ukraine gets an aircraft carrier, right? I don't think that would actually work, but you get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
In contrast, right, Israel-Palestine is complicated, and I'm not going to say that I can solve it in a live stream. What I do truly believe is that peace for Israel is not going to happen until the Palestinians have the same rights of self-determination that we all otherwise do, right? And if we're going to support Israel, then Israeli troops should conduct themselves to the same standards and be held to the same standards that American troops were held to in Iraq and Afghanistan. I did not say it was clear and unambiguous, right? I have enough complicated medical conditions that the DoD would not have wanted me, right? But I had a lot of friends who did time in one or both, and a couple who were actually still serving in some capacity or another. And I don't think it's unreasonable that if the IDF wants our stuff, that they're held to the same standards that my friends were. I do truly think that there's no easy solution to this. There's no quick long-term answer. I do think that Palestinian statehood is non-negotiable, and frankly, we should be moving towards it. I do think that Palestinian statehood and the independence of free Palestine does not inhibit or prohibit Israel from also being what it wants to be. And I think, indeed, Israel's safety at this point is actively undermined by the things they're doing to oppress Palestinians.
So, yeah, very well said. I'll take that. I may have slightly different, but I'll take that, and I like that it's clear, and I like that it's not bought by somebody. I'd rather really know what it is you feel.
Right.
That's the key. But to the point of this, how Israel is being hurtful to their own cause by this genocide, quite frankly, is. I just got done doing. That's why I'm sitting here with the glasses on. I wasn't actually trying to be cool, like Macho Man. I just got done doing a video about yesterday. There was another attack on a Jewish community in the United Kingdom,
right?
And in that video, I'm just like, these people have hijacked the religion. This government has hijacked the religion, and every single Jewish person in the world is less safe as long as Israel is allowed to continue being the bad guy.
Sure,
especially since they are the ones making everybody believe that this Israel means Jewish. They're not the same thing.
They're definitely not the same thing, and it's complicated, right? So my wife is Jewish, and as a Long Islander, my great-great-grandmother was Jewish. I'm Jewish enough for the ovens. Let's put it that way. Even though I'm not, I don't consider myself Jewish. I'm not culturally Jewish or religiously Jewish, right? Judaism is a religion, yes, but it's also an ethnicity and a culture in a way that I would say Christianity isn't. And that's no dig on Christianity, just several thousand years of development, right? And I actually completely understand where Zionism comes from, in terms of the psyche, right? Like after the Holocaust, Jews did not feel safe, and the United States was partially culpable for that, right? Like we turned away Jewish refugees in the run-up to World War II. So I get where the whole Zionism is the only way that Jews will ever be safe. Like I get the origin of that. But you're absolutely right. The modern interpretation of that and the way that it is used as a cudgel, and it turns into, if you criticize Israel, you're criticizing all Jews, is absolutely toxic. And I don't think anybody who's really being objective would say that it's helping Jewish safety around the world. I do think that this is something that both pro-Israeli people have contributed to, but I also think there is an element on the left that is really comfortable with conflating anti-Zionist, criticisms of Israel into a broader attack on the Jewish community across the world. And I think it's upon us, right, as folks on the left, or left of center, liberal, whatever exact definition you want to use, to also acknowledge that reality and push back on it in our spaces too.
I think that's fair and reasonable.
Fair and reasonable.
Try to be fair and reasonable.
We got to tend our own garden, so to speak.
I try.
Yeah.
Okay. I appreciate those answers, man. I appreciate the honesty. Hold on, I almost forgot. Let me get my I need to get my special background here. Hold on, guys.
Oh, okay. In the meantime, we have a news update that Trump has declared the war in Iran is won.
For like the 78th time.
Yeah.
In a couple of weeks.
Iran, according to the New York Times, Iran has already commented and said, no, the war is not over.
Iran says, don't start no shit, won't be no shit.
We can say a lot about George W. Bush, but like the Bush administration put a lot of work into selling the war in Iraq. And when they declared victory, like they at least put some effort into that. Like there was a carrier landing, there was a big banner.
Had on a flight
mission accomplished. Yeah.
There wasn't. That's because he didn't have Truth Social.
Yeah,
that's all.
It's true. To push a different narrative about the same war and whether or not we'd won it, whether or not it was a war, every 10 minutes.
Also, he hadn't curated a full-grown, full-on cult that doesn't give a shit anymore about anything. He can now just say anything, and there's just that amount of people that will just go, okay. Yeah, he said that. What do I say next, Master? What do I say next?
There is no one who has won a war so many times that I have won the war, and the war has been won this time now 7 times. No other American president has ever thought to win a war more than once, but I did because I'm a genius. Yeah.
All right.
This is my response to him winning this war. Yeah, no, that's it right there. That's it. You're a fucking monkey, bro.
Yeah,
you're just a monkey, man. That's all it is to it. Like you're at this point, you're just.
I'm not a big fan of the AI, but man, it really does do some work sometimes, huh?
Yeah, that's the best.
Yeah. I see the comment in the chat. Yes, Zionism actually is very much a creation of the 19th century. But it did not have a majority hold on the Jewish community until after World War II.
Yeah,
I'm gonna pull out the history degree hat.
Yeah, lay it down.
Yeah, there was Zionists.
That was my lighter.
In Germany before there was full blown Nazism.
Considerably before, because it was the 19th century. So,
but yeah, this version of it has turned into the mirror.
Well, it's kind of a reflection, of a very common human experience, right? Like, what's the difference between patriotism and nationalism?
Yeah.
It's and it's worth comparing and contrasting this because it's again, it's a tendency sometimes on the left to kind of conflate it and lump it all down, but there's no national, there's no ethnicity, there's no culture that has ever been totally immune to those impulses.
Yeah,
right. There's an inherent tribalism in people in general that goes back before nations.
Back on the Serengeti, fam. I mean, it's how
it comes back to, and we have discussed this as in tools in combating racism. in that we tend to see anyone who's not of our tribe, and by our tribe, not necessarily even our ethnicity, but the community in
Right.
which we are primarily raised. We see other people who are not part of that as others inherently. And we can certainly learn to identify that impulse and be like, that's something vestigial there. That's not a fact-based thing. And to be smarter about our interactions. But it doesn't mean that drive isn't there.
Yeah.
Right.
And there are certain people who cultivate and feed that drive because it's a path to power. It's a path to having your base say, everyone else out in the world is out to get you. You need to trust me, give your money to me. I'll keep you safe.
Right.
And that is the very root of so much in human politics.
Yep.
Same
Absolutely.
thing happens over and over again. I'll be right back, y'all.
Sometimes I break out my history minor.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. Man, we got through 40K. We brought out the history books tonight.
I like to consider myself a full spectrum political candidate. I'm going to give you, I can rant about the Mets, for about 7 hours,
I could rant about my deep Philadelphia hatred of the Mets as well. It's the
Listen, the Philly New York hate is pure.
It is.
I dislike the Phillies. I hate them, but I respect the hustle the team has, and not like in a way that I don't with the Braves. The Braves just anger me.
The disdain for the Brains.
Wait a minute. I just hold on.
For the Braves is very healthy.
No, we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
We're not going to do that. Just because I leave, we're not just going to. You know what I mean?
Doug, you still here? He left.
You're not just going to do that about the Braves. That's not how we're doing it. I'll be back.
I'll tell you what, my brother-in-law is originally from Long Island, New York, and he is a huge all New York sports things, and he and I cannot agree on any piece of sports, except coming together at Thanksgiving to pour our hatred at the Dallas Cowboys, and that's
yeah. It's funny too, because I'm a Jets fan, so AFC, NFC, there's no inherent reason why a Jets fan would hate on the Cowboys, but as a New Yorker,
exactly,
but that's the thing.
I also say, Phillies and Mets have their differences, but I still remember it was the Phillies and Mets playing when they had to interrupt the game to go to Obama to announce that they'd gotten Bin Laden. And that was the one time you see Mets and Phillies fans celebrate together.
I remember. So I was actually driving home with my wife from visiting my in-laws, and I had the game on WFAN as we were driving home, and they interrupted it for that. I was like, "Are you kidding me?" Yeah.
A true American moment.
Yeah, it's one of those things, just some people, just need dying, and it was one of those times,
Yeah, he did. I'm just glad Obama got him before Trump had a chance to invite him to the White House and tell us all what a great guy he really is. Like every other scumbag in the world he keeps bringing in. I tell you, I hope you get in here and you have a chance to be part of a democratic wave across the board at the federal, state, and local levels, because we need some cleaning up in this country.
Yeah. So read the comments. If you take some time to look, right? New tracking poll came out today. Trump has a 36% approval rating. So he's currently got the same approval as George W. Bush did after the Great Recession hit. And he's only the first year of his term. So that's a sign, right? The generic ballot is, I think, D+8 right now. If things progress, we are probably looking at a Democratic Senate and definitely a Democratic House.
Absolutely. I'd be shocked if it doesn't end up as a Democratic House at this point.
The big thing, and this is something that I've been talking about on the campaign trail, though, is we can't get complacent.
Absolutely.
And come 2029, there's got to be accountability. To put on my campaign hat. One of the three. So my three big planks that I put policies under are based on American history. So I have Reconstruction for all of the holding the Trump people accountable and fixing the system so this doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
I have the New Deal for, all of the very vital economic cost of living stuff. And then I have Great Society for things like civil rights, right? Protecting the LGBTQ community, enshrining abortion rights, protecting immigrant communities, stuff like that, right? So if we're going to look at Reconstruction come 2029, we got to bring the hammer down, and we can't let up like we did the first time, right? It can't be like 1877 where we compromise. We can't like pretend it's 2021 and Trump's gone forever and we're going to just let all of it go, right?
Yeah, we can't Merrick Garland our way through this next thing.
So on Blue Sky, there's what's called like the Reconstruction community, and the Reconstruction Dems are very much a thing, and I consider myself a proud member of them.
I need to be in on this.
So
as a solid Civil War historian.
Buddy's account, the Wide Awakes. They have an Etsy. There's lots of delicious patriotic merchandise. Like
nice.
Okay, but do you have Big Sarge as William T. Sherman?
No, I guess I'm going to have to add that to my repertoire. All right.
I do see, by the way, speaking of things in the background, the Lego NCC 171 Enterprise D. I just saw the nacelle. I was just like, oh, I know what that is.
So, as you may remember, they announced it was coming, or rumored that it was coming in like 2 years before it came out.
Yep.
So for those 2 years, I took my fantasy football winnings and I set them aside. So that way, when it dropped that weekend, I was like, I told the wife, I'm like, this is happening. It's not money that, it's not being responsible money, right? This is explicitly my screw around money. And it took me a month and change to put it together in between everything, right? But it is proudly, there's you might not be able to see it, there's the International Space Station right next to it.
Oh yeah.
And then it's too out of reach. I did get they came out with a set for the Artemis, and I have not even touched that yet. It's still in the box. So
very cool.
Yeah.
Like I said, piles of shame, right?
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely. Like
I have not had time for 40K since COVID hit and kind of destroyed my local community. And by the time it had settled down and everything, people had moved, people had kids, people's jobs had changed and stuff. So the people who were playing were not the same people I've been playing with. But even not having touched any of that stuff, the stupid pile of boxes is ridiculous.
Listen, a big thing that I was doing. So my wife, when she was pregnant with her second child, was kind of it was complicated pregnancy. So I was home a lot. She was working from home. It was on bed rest. Like it was a thing. So like I was pretty tied to the house. But one of the things I did do was clean the basement and reorganize everything and get all my piles of shame into totes at least. So it's neat. Shame, at least, which I could not have said for years beforehand.
God, I shudder to think. I've got there's 3 closets in this house that are predominantly stacked with Warhammer boxes, either assembled or unassembled.
Right.
Just waiting on a day when they'll be picked up. I'm sure any minute now.
Anytime.
Not counting the other miniature games that are piled up from over the years.
Yeah.
It's Warhammer that somehow backs up the most for us. It's just, whether it's fantasy or 40K, just it's so easy to buy it. Just like, oh, it's a limited edition. I better buy that now. I'll get to it soon. Wink.
Yeah. So limited edition, right? I did Gen Con in 2014 because I was like, it was like it was like hey, we're going to have fun before we buy a house and be responsible and have a child kind of thing.
Right.
And Forge World, which was still a thing. I don't think it's a thing anymore.
No, it is. It is.
Okay, good. Had a limited edition Chaos Dwarf Sorcerer available that was only at conventions. I don't know how, I'm buying one short. I don't know how I wound up with 3. I was getting my stuff out, like I said, and I found 3 of them. And they were like, It was like a $15 model. It was just it's a blister, right? It was before the minis got insane. I sold one for $90. Like just to a guy at the shop who wanted it because it wasn't available anymore. Like it's insane, some of this stuff.
Mm-hmm. I picked up some very overpriced decisions on eBay and the like. I questioned some of it, but at the time I was just like, no problem. What do I need money for? I can have the Chaos Sorcerer.
The good old days, right?
Yeah. Then you get a little older, you have to be a little more responsible and still find ways to buy a few things now and then. Like 29
Trump jacks the price of oil up, so imports are more expensive.
So plastic becomes more expensive. Yeah. I have a I don't even know what they're originally from. They're from some trip down to Disney that we took.
Yeah.
And we have a bunch of these pins. Pin trading is apparently a huge thing.
I've heard about this. Yeah.
I don't know that they like issue different pins, different years of different things, and then they stop making them because it makes them incredibly valuable. Well, I'm like cleaning out this box and I'm looking at stuff to eBay off, and there's this set of pins, a complete set of pins from some line from Disney. And it's like, oh yeah, those go for $1,000 each. It's like, what? What?
Okay then.
I picked this up for like $17 according to the receipt still in the bag with the thing that no one cared about when I brought it. We bought it and brought it back. But all right, it's $1,000 a metal thing. Okay,
wow,
it's craziness.
I guess Big Sarge there is a big Dragon Con guy. I'm just guessing.
I went every year for like a solid decade, and like Trump, I dodged STIs.
Jesus Christ. It was my personal Vietnam.
In fact, if you can find me on FitLife, my profile picture is from Dragon Con.
Of course it is. Of course it is.
Learning things tonight.
we were going along like this, and all of a sudden, whoop!
You right?
I started talking about conventions.
We even talked about Comic-Con. He's a Dragon Con guy. I'm a Comic-Con guy. I should go up to New York Comic-Con every year.
Oh, okay.
My initial reaction was when you guys were talking about Gen Con, I was like, I wish Gen Con and Dragon Con weren't like at the same time. So that, and then time elapsed and I was like, I can't work that in there. But then somebody said it in the chat comments and I was like, all right.
Okay. So that was how
Dragon Con.
It's imperative that we all know Alien Con. Okay. That's the one we need to know.
Imperative that we know Alien Con?
I don't know.
That's some freaky shit goes on at Alien Con.
Hey. Drill Sarge is going to the one with the anal probing. All right.
Yeah, that's my first. That's the go-to, man. That's the go-to.
So in other words, you're going to be at Frolicon this year, is what you're telling me.
Yeah.
Which takes place in Atlanta.
Frolicon. Is that what they call it?
So Alien Con, because I Googled it, is an annual convention in Pasadena for folks who are convinced that aliens have come to Earth and are visiting not only recently, but in ancient history. So like the Ancient Aliens guy, like it's like their crew.
Oh, really?
See, knowledge in our hands. Let's,
No, see, I need
folks, we entertain and we educate.
Right? I need to go to Alien Con then.
There you go.
But hey, look here, guys. You do see that.
I feel like we need a Sons of Liberty rally at Frolicon.
You do see I'm nerdy enough. I got my Star Wars pop heads, whatever the fuck. I got
those.
All right, you got your foot in the door.
This is my Marvel. Yeah. I'm you know what I mean?
Those DC comic characters?
No, that's not. This is Marvel. This is Star Wars. And then this guy right here is Rocket Raccoon.
Oh, okay.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
It's not terribly visible.
Yeah. I just
But-
want to make sure Matt got his shit straight before he starts talking about these DC comics. 'Cause I don't fuck with DC. Let's get it right. Let's turn on the light.
All right, yeah, no,
Let's turn on the light. There you go.
yeah. The one part of his technical ensemble that actually works. All right, I'm glad you got the spotlight working finally.
Oh, the light is working.
Work. Yeah,
I got
yeah,
different colors
it's-
too. Look at that. Y'all
Look
better
at
stop
you.
playing, man. Stop playing with
Visual
your boy.
experience now.
Yes. I just turned it down low for the ladies.
I'm sure they all greatly appreciate that.
You gotta respect the game, you know.
you gotta respect the game.
I think the finest of conventions I've ever been to was Comic-Con San Diego, which
Oh,
I've
God, yeah.
only been able to get tickets to once.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
So
Oh,
for
yeah.
I
years,
would go to that just so I could meet a Polar Star cosplay.
I don't know. What would you be, Garrett? What would you cosplay at? If you go to these Comic Cons, the Dragon Cons, and
So,
the other.
much like my political experience, I've always been behind the scenes guy at conventions too. In college, I helped run a convention here on Long Island called Icon. So I actually ran the entire gaming division and was mostly behind the scenes in a t-shirt and sweatpants for the weekend because I was running around like an idiot. If I were to do cosplay, which is pretty big if, it would probably be something Star Trek related. I am deep down inside a big Trek guy. I would like the optimistic post-scarcity future without World War III if we can avoid it. You know,
without the eugenics wars.
I kind of like that they in the adjusted timeline now they basically all but call out Trump as the cause of World War III that destroys the Earth.
right?
So my favorite parts of Strange New Worlds.
Going, do you get it now? Was
Yes.
delightfully on the nose.
Yes. What do you think of they've decided to pivot off of their TV series and go back to just doing films? The
I think
announcement today, they're cutting all their TV shows.
I think it's really stupid. The new Trek, certainly uneven at times, but if we take off our rose-colored goggles, the old Trek was pretty uneven too.
It is.
So I think it's really stupid and self-sabotaging. Basically, the only thing anybody ever watched on the CBS streaming was Star Trek and Yellowstone, and Yellowstone is now done, and now you're killing the other thing. Like, the number of people I know who have a CBS subscription simply because of Star Trek is not insignificant.
Yeah.
I
Because
think
of the crybabies about fucking the Star Trek Academy show. Which
Every
getting a second
Star Trek
season.
show,
Look on
they
being
just-
gay. So you know.
God, every Star Trek show has these fucking just red pill idiots, man, that destroy everything.
this goes
Every
back
fandom.
to the Next Generation, right? When Next
Yeah.
Gen came out, there were, Neanderthal neckbeards, right? Because this is 1980s. We didn't have red pill invented as a term yet, but they were bitching about how there were differences between Next Gen and the original series. And then people bitched about Deep Space Nine, and people bitched about Voyager. You bet they bitched about Voyager because it was a war captain. Like,
The internet did not exist
Right.
as we know it
True.
when Star Trek The Next Generation came out. But I remember when Star Trek The Next Generation came out in like the very late very early 90s. Wait,
Late
the very
80s.
late, the very
Late
80s.
87.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you remember how in the original series they had the women wearing like the very short skirts and the go-go boots?
As they thought the future would be in the 1960s.
Yeah. Yeah. So they took 60s fashion and threw it into Star Trek. And also Gene Roddenberry was one horny motherfucker.
He really was.
And in the Next Generation, they're like, okay, we're like, 80, 90 years into the future of the future that we created. So let's have men wearing the skirts.
The
What
score.
they called it.
I remember they had one guy
one
passed
episode. Yeah, one guy, a very fit, very muscular, very toned white guy walks past the camera in the background, and I remember people lost their shit. They're like, what are these bunch of homos pushing men wearing mini skirts on us in the future? Garbage.
Right.
And there was no internet. It was literally just dudes, even kids in the classroom, like, what's going on with that gay guy wearing a mini skirt? Like, it's the future.
I thought it was super cool when I saw it the first time. I was like, oh shit.
I didn't know how I felt about it, but I had probably had a weird little boner because I was in 8th or 9th grade, whatever.
I probably didn't have that, but I did think it was cool because I was like, I'm always about what's next? I watch that stuff for the what's next. Like I watched the Trek Yards. I watched
also it is from the original series has always been like a number of other rope pylons of sci-fi, like say the Twilight Zone, a very good reflection of societal issues. Oftentimes it has to be disguised. Oftentimes it has to be dressed up as something. But for anyone paying attention, they're talking about the real issues that are going on and presenting the play out of what that actually impacts on society.
And let's be honest, right? Like, the neckbeards are always like, oh, well, Star Trek wasn't woke. It's like the first episode, they had the whole the thinly veiled racism allegory because one side was black and one side was white and the other guy was the other. Like that was like the first regular episode of Star Trek.
It's not even that thinly veiled. Right. Like you think anyone would be able to catch on to this is about black and white hatred.
Right.
Like they're literally in black and white.
Yeah. Right.
He's black on the right side and I'm black on the left side. Don't you see it?
Right.
It's kind of heavy-handed, but that's what they do.
It was
sometimes you have to be a little heavy-handed to get the message through.
All right,
and I'm gonna build on that because we've kind of gotten away from being really obvious and blunt and to the point. And I think that some of the problems we have now would be much more mitigated if we had more in-your-face, unapologetic, anti-racism, anti-homophobia type messages in popular media. And then also regular Band of Brothers style movies where we're killing Nazis or killing Confederates and showing that those things are bad. I try not to get my grumpy old man thing. I'm only 45. I shouldn't be a grumpy old man, but I truly believe that things like Band of Brothers, and the whole World War II look back that we had in the late 90s really drove home for most millennials that Nazis were bad, right? And we wouldn't be here if we had kept doing that.
100%.
I almost want to say that we need a Band of Brothers, but for the Civil War. But then I remember North and South with not just Patrick Swayze, but also Michael Dudikoff.
That is
if you didn't grow up in the 80s,
that was an obscure
looking at Michael Dudikoff B-movie videos.
But I appreciate it. So I will see that, and I will raise you a Robert Smalls movie directed by Ryan Coogler.
There you go.
I have a script. It is
has
a
been
completely
campaigning
finished, fleshed out script for a Robert Smalls movie. And as the years go by, I continually update it. And I'm like, all right, so Samuel L. Jackson as Robert Smalls, moving on down to Michael B. Jordan as Robert Smalls.
Did a great job with it.
But the only thing is, A, obviously I need lots of money to do it. And B, I don't do CGI. I need practical effects. So we need an actual steamer.
True.
Okay.
And I don't care if you have to build it or not. I will build it. I don't give a fuck. We will build a 100% screen accurate, historically accurate planter and sail that bitch out of Charleston Harbor. I don't give a fuck.
I don't give a fuck.
We can even make Drill Sergeant Doug a member of the crew. I don't care. We'll do it.
100%.
I have the script. I just need the money. I could take care of the rest. Give me the funding.
The money is definitely, it's other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how was the play, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Well,
it does seem to be the most consistent problem with the entire plan.
Garrett already
I've
spent his
done-
on the commercial, man. You're barking up the wrong tree
I
here.
didn't want to make the pitch obvious, but running for Congress is pretty expensive. So
Yeah, exactly. Everything takes money, whether it's running for Congress or making an
or
indie
making an
film
epic
about
biopic of Robert Smalls, right?
So
Takes money to change the world.
let me ask you this. While we're fundraising, people, please go to Garrett for NY, Garrett4NY.com to donate. That's where you go if you're going to donate. But while I'm on here, I see making housing affordable. Just to direct back to here for a second,
Right.
I'd like to know what your ideas are, because whenever I hear people say things like making housing affordable, like I understand universal child care, that is simply trying to build up enough people to get a bill that can extend something that's almost already there, or that is already there. Medicare for all, right? Universal child care is closely related. What's the steps? What's step 1, 2, 3 to making housing affordable? And if you have to just keep it to Long Island, that's fine too.
So I'm gonna do my best here to kind of keep it localized, but I may wander, right? I have ADHD. It's a whole thing, right? So housing costs are a multi-dimensional thing, right? There's actions that can be done on the local level, on the town level, on the county level, on the state level, and on the federal level, right? All of those have to work together to make housing more affordable, because ultimately, at the end of the day, it's a pretty classic supply and demand question, right? We have to gradually increase the housing supply in a way that doesn't blow up the market, right? Because most middle class people, their wealth and their retirement is tied up in their homes, so you can't blow that up. But there are a lot of ways to gradually, I guess, take the air out of the balloon without popping the balloon, so that way normal people can afford housing. On the federal level, there's a few things we can do. We can do some grants. We can look at increasing public housing for the first time in 50 years to build affordable housing, right? New York City, has tons of affordable housing. And it's not like the projects, universally, like people think of it. There are plenty of co-op type situations in New York City where the house, it's just like any other condo or any other apartment, but the way that they were built helped keep costs low. And then by having like rent caps and fixed income, situations, you can keep that cost lower. One of the things that they were doing here in New York State, which I was a big fan of, and then Kathy Hochul walked back on it, they wanted to change it so that single zoning for single families could instead be turned into multifamily dwellings. So if you had an accessory apartment, which is a very common thing here on Long Island, right? Legal or illegal, because lots of basement apartments are not done legally here, right? By changing those zoning codes, you can make it much easier for folks to put an accessory apartment on their home, or you could make a 2-family home, things like that.
Okay, I got you.
On the zoning piece, again, that's more state and local than on federal. Obviously, with the federal, you can do a lot of logistical support, help build the infrastructure, things like that. Aside from strictly housing, there's a lot you can do on the federal level to increase affordability, right? Because like the whole cost of living is a basket. Housing is a big basket, but electrical costs, infrastructure costs, utility costs, health costs, childcare, all of that, right? Also basically determines what your budget looks like every month. And one of the things we hear here on Long Island is, even more than the rest of the country, insane electric bills. If you're not aware, in the 1970s and 80s, we built a nuclear power plant here on Long Island. Okay, the Shoreham, if you ever heard that, might strike a bell. We built this thing called the Shoreham nuclear power plant. And then we turned it on, and then we turned it off again. And we shut it down. So we incurred the cost of building a nuclear power plant here without ever actually getting the benefit of having a nuclear power plant here. I'm not going to litigate with that, like whether that was a good idea to build it in the first place or not. I personally am very pro-nuclear power, but I get, concerns because we are an island, blah, 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 right? But the end result of that is that we are still paying for that plant that was shut down in the early 80s, right? And while this is going on, Long Island's got coast, right? We've got all of this beautiful territory for offshore wind. And we were finally starting to build offshore wind here. And now the Trump administration is canceling those offshore wind projects literally as they're about to start breaking ground or breaking water. I don't know how you want to describe that, right? Because they're offshore. To the point where he is going to allow the government to pay $1 billion penalty to these companies to not build power plant capacity, to not build generating capacity. So not only are we not getting more sources of electricity here on Long Island at the same time that electric bills are going sky high and AI data centers are driving everybody's electric costs up because the demand that they have is tremendous, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're now also spending more money to not do it.
Yep.
That is
so it is
beyond belief.
Five different levels of self-destructive all in one, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the way to bring down costs is to build large amounts of renewable energy, either wind or solar. Pick your poison. We have a lot of solar here on Long Island. It's really good for us, like 9 months of the year, 8 months of the year. Doing that, building on that capacity brings down the electric costs. My electric costs have doubled here in the last 2 years. I'm not burning more, right? I'm not, all of my house is LED. It's all energy efficiency. I'm not using more electricity, but like delivery costs have doubled. You can directly address that by increasing generating capacity. Things like childcare, paid family leave. New York State has a paid family leave. We're one of the few states that do. And I can tell you the difference is tremendous because with my first child, I didn't have it. Okay. My wife and I were both back to work right away. You know, she took like 2 weeks off. I took like a week off, and then we were out in the world, right?
Yeah.
With my daughter last year, we had 3 months off. And New York State's system is set up that we were paid almost our full salaries the whole time we were home. The quality of life difference between the first and the second child because of that was mind-blowing. And if you look at studies, right, like the MAGA chugs are all like, oh, we're not having babies, we're not reproducing. The two single largest contributing factors, if you look at studies around the world that have increased birth rates in developed nations, are paid family leave and allowing people to work from home.
Yep.
Work from home is even more than paid family leave, a thing that and people have indicated would increase their likelihood to have children. Now, I'm not like some weird guy that's like, oh, we have to have kids. Everybody's got to breed, right? But like, we're humans. We should be making a next generation of humans. If you want to actually address this problem, that's two things that we can do. That will also, by the way, if we're increasing work from home, will increase people's savings, right? Like if I'm not driving into the office every day, I'm not burning a tank of gas over the course of a week. I'm eating at home. There's less electricity being consumed because I'm in my house as opposed to in the office. All of these things, right? And it's not like as a congressman, I can mandate when we, business allow people to work from home.
Right.
But like, this is a culture thing, right? Like, and one of the things that drives me nuts about Democrats, right, elected officials especially, is they think that they are subject to the whims of what the public says, and they have no ability to influence that public, right? Oh, well, we can't support this thing because the public's against it. You have a platform, and I get that the media is sometimes against us, and the media has a slant, but if you put your messaging out into the ecosystem, you're going to influence the battlefield, right? Like you can't shape the entire terrain. You can't shape the entire battlefield, but you can have an influence on it. And this is the thing that drives me nuts about Democrats, especially some local Democrats who are like, well, I'm a moderate because my I can't make anything happen. I just have to bend to the wind. Like, no, you have a voice, use it. Advocate for things. Democrats should be out there saying, hey, we need to make a 21st century economy that works for ordinary people by doing things like building renewables, building affordable housing, encouraging people to work remote, giving universal paid family leave, and then paid childcare, right? People are like, oh, that's radical. That's, like we've never done that. We didn't have compulsory education for a century, right? Like we only got 1 through 12 at the beginning of the 20th century. And then kindergarten was added even later. Kindergarten wasn't even really compulsory until the 80s. It might not still be compulsory in some states. And then I'm
really beginning to hate the word radical. Like, what is that? What does it even mean anymore? Radical simply means now anything that doesn't get the rich people richer.
Right. And even for the people who are like meaning it on face value, like that really truly believe that moderation is the only way to go. It's like you don't want anything to change. And I think a large part of the appeal of Donald Trump among older Americans is that he's saying we got to go back, right? Because everybody has an idealized vision of what their childhood was like, right? Like everybody thinks that the time they were a kid was the best time on earth. The 90s were the best time on earth, but we'll settle that later.
Right.
But like they want to go back to, and that's impossible, right? Like we can't freeze the country, we can't freeze time, we can't go back in time, right? But that nostalgia for that time drives a lot of support to Trump. And then even those people who aren't quite that twisted want things to always stay the same. They want things to be static. And that's where those people who are like, oh, your idea is radical because it's going to change things, right? Yeah. And like my take on that is the only time that organisms don't change on planet Earth, from bacteria to humpback whales, the only time things don't change is when they're dead.
Yep.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's where we're headed if we're not changing.
Right. And I personally would like to be alive, both as a person and as a nation state. So I think that we need to be unafraid of change. And I think that the country has gotten, and this is, I think, something that we all could probably say is from our experience, right? The country's gotten very complacent in the idea that nothing's ever going to change, nothing's going to improve. Conversely, they also think things are never going to get worse, which I think people are waking up to right now.
Yeah.
Right? The society and people at large have kind of internalized this idea that nothing's ever really going to change, nothing's going to matter, things don't matter, decisions don't matter. And we've lost some vision as a result on that, I think, right? Like in the 60s, we went to the moon because the president said, let's go to the moon. And we were like, hell yeah, let's go to the moon, right?
Yeah.
There used to be vision. And I think not because I'm really not a nostalgic person, especially for times that I didn't live in. Like I have friends who are in the SCA and I kind of look at them funny because it's like, I like indoor plumbing, right?
Yeah.
But one of the things that I think we did have that we gotten away from is this idea that having big ideas is good and having goals is good. And we should, as a country, have those and be unafraid to push for them.
Yeah. I agree.
Neil deGrasse Tyson says the only reason we went to the moon is because we were had a Cold War going on with Russia, and we saw that they had Sputnik up. I say this because there is an idea that I don't find wrong. I don't know enough about it to, say anything other than that. I don't find it wrong. That in order to spur these types of changes, you're going to have to speak to something that's primal, something that's fearful, something that makes someone money, maybe rich people. I don't know, but the idea that we were at war, we were defending against this. Immediately, we can get there in 10 years, we can get there in 4 years, we can get there in 5 years, and the all the time before that, it's the storybook, right? Mm. What do you think about this idea of maybe thinking more strategically in handshaking, in how to move things forward, tied to things that are kind of like Neil deGrasse Tyson said, something more primal, something that makes it worthwhile to the reptilian brain.
Specifically about space travel or more general?
Well, no, more generally, because you went through a whole lot of.
We go all over the place.
You went a whole lot of stuff about. I'm still on housing, right? So you have the three main things are. One of these are laws. The other thing is renewable energy, and the other thing is working from home initiatives. So these things are, two of them I know are pretty big things that people are literally paying not to do, right?
Right. So
how can you tie it to something that turns that corner, that turns the corner from where this is primal, right, this is needed. Now we can galvanize behind the big thing.
I got you. So I think that we are going to be in a situation certainly by 2028, but probably by the midterms, where people are going to be looking for ideas, because we are going to be looking at $6 a gallon gas by the end of the summer, easy, the way things are going, right? Things are going to get worse economically in every metric. And if you look at American history, right, the most obvious parallel is FDR, right, coming into office in 1932 with the Great Depression going on. And I think there are a lot of lessons that you can look at about giving people hope and giving people solutions and being unapologetic and fighting for those solutions. I am definitely not FDR, but I do think there's a lot that we can learn from FDR. And looking at this comment here, it's worth remembering that part of the New Deal was funding the humanities, funding arts, funding music, right?
Yeah.
Being unapologetic for that, building an American Renaissance, right? And we can't do that again. You know, there's the only you know, like it's again, it's trite, right? The only thing we have to fear is fear itself. The only thing that can stop America from getting its shit back together and making a 21st century that works for everybody is ourselves pussing out, right? And I think that it's
the Republican Party spending billions of dollars to keep their voters as dumb and stupid as possible. Yeah.
Sure, and it's worth remembering, right? Like I said, Donald Trump currently has a 36% approval rating, which is below what George W. Bush had in 2007. It's also worth remembering that in the 1932 elections, 60% of the voters who voted for Hoover in 1928 voted for him again in 1932. Right? 2/3 of Herbert Hoover's base saw 1929 to 1932 and went, you know what? I want more of this. Right?
Yep.
And it didn't matter because the rest of the country went absolutely the fuck not and put FDR in office with the largest Democratic majority in history. So I think we have to be unapologetic about accepting the fact that some people are not going to be on this train. And too bad, you're going to get dragged into the 21st century, whether you want to or not. And you're going to have, I think, and this is the challenge, right, for Democrats, hopefully myself and then the rest of the Dems in the Senate and in the House and then whoever gets elected president, you got to put your foot in the gas and you've got to be unapologetic about, hey, Donald Trump fucked shit up, right? And the analogy that I use is that because I got my bathroom redone about a year ago, so like this is the comparison that sticks in my mind. When they came in and demoed my bathroom, they got the demo done in a day, right? Like they just took the hammers, they brought everything out, they dragged it all out in garbage bags. It was done in a day. Building that new bathroom after that took 2 weeks. It's a lot easier to wreck shit than it is to fix it. So I think Dems have to be like honest with the American people, like, listen, stuff's broken right now, but we're going to fix it. This is how we're going to fix it, and we're going to fight for you. And we have to be better on messaging about that, and we have to be unafraid of fighting for our ideas in the marketplace of ideas, right, which is trite, but like in the media, right, with our friends and our colleagues, and one of the challenges that I will give to the average person, right, once this happens in 2026, and then once it happens again in 2028, and we win, don't check out.
Yep.
Stay activated. Talk to your friends. I know people don't like to always talk politics with their friends, but we have had the privilege of not caring about politics because it hasn't mattered here for decades, right? For white people, right? We no longer have that privilege.
Yeah.
You may not want to care about politics, but politics is going to care about you whether you wanted to or not. So one of the challenges for ordinary people who give a shit about all of this and want to make America a better place and want to fight for their kids and want to fight for the future and want to protect minorities and want to hold MAGA accountable is you can't check out. Once we get these majorities in office, you have to talk to your friends and you have to keep the pressure up on them so they know what's going on and they draw consequences and connections between what happened before and what we have to do to fix it.
Because the messaging against repairing this damage and pushing back against Trump's fascist agenda is going to keep coming at us.
Yep.
Some of it's domestic, some of it's foreign funded. It is to the interest of the enemies of the United States for us to be a disorganized fascist state constantly ripping itself apart. So even when, and I believe it'll be a when, the Dems retake Congress, there's a lot of work ahead, and they're going to be under constant attack.
Right.
So I agree with you that it's very beholden on us to stay engaged and to continue to argue with the bullshit and push back on the fake news that they're going to be pushing, and the obviously AI videos are going to be generated. We're seeing this play out in Hungary with Viktor Orban, who is deeply behind his opponent, which is very surprising considering his very strict control there. And the amount of sock puppet social media accounts and fake AI videos of his opponents that the Russians are producing for him. Even the story we were talking about this weekend, where it came out that the Russian intelligence service was going to fake an assassination attempt on Orban in order to stir up sympathy for him. After all, it worked so well here. So they saw the playbook and they're looking to go for it. And it tells us for our coming midterms, this same shit's about to be unleashed here.
Quite possibly.
They're going to do the exact same thing.
Right. And, I kind of ties back to both what you're saying and what I was saying before. We have two options in our immediate political future. All right. Either we fight and we end the sixth party system, right? So in the course of American history, we've had 6 party systems where the broad coalitions are defined by the 2 parties, blah, 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 right? The current 6-party system really got kicked off in around 1975, right after Nixon, and it's congealed. We could argue about the start dates, but broadly speaking, right? The end result of that is that at the end of this party system, right, we've just traded back and forth between the 2 parties, and basically very little has gotten done, despite, frankly, some historic situations, right? We had the largest airborne pandemic in a century, and we kind of just shrugged it off. We had the second largest economic crisis in 100 years, and we didn't really shake it off. Like, we just moved on, right? So either we break the 6-party system and build a new 7th-party system, or even if we win, and we will win in 26 and 28, it's all going to fall apart again like it did when Obama, in 2010 had his first midterms. So we need to be prepared to force those coalitions to shift and to put pressure on people to, like, hey, do you really want to deal with all this again? And, you show them pictures of the gas prices and the whatever.
Yeah. That's always the classic issue with the liberal progressive voters, is that we can align against evils and agree, hey, that guy is shit. That guy's putting people in concentration camps. We don't like that.
Yeah.
But then it comes to, okay, who do you support? And you're going to get 50 different answers. And unfortunately, you're going to get a segment that are like, well, if they pick that guy, I'm not going to vote that. In fact, I'm going to go vote for the opposition. I'm going to go vote for the fascist guy just to fuck with you guys because you didn't pick my guy.
And that is the most insidious problem with any broad coalition, right?
Yeah.
You look at the popular fronts in Europe in the 1930s and the 40s when they were dealing with this problem the last time, and it's the problem that we had here. I don't necessarily know if that's why Harris lost in 24. You could definitely make the case that was why Hillary lost in 2016.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I've internalized, right, because like I said, I've done all of the boring behind the scenes stuff. I've had to support candidates that I do not like, right? Yeah. I've had to run events for them, run petitioning for them, do all the boring infrastructure stuff that a volunteer party person like myself deals with, right? Once the primaries are over, and primaries are essential. I'll get back to that in a second.
Oh, yeah.
Once the primaries are over and we're down to brass tacks, you have to support your guy in the broad coalition. And if we're in a popular front versus fascism, the guy in the popular front that you may not agree with, once it's down to brass tacks, has got to be your guy. And the corollary to that is that because we are in the popular front period of the current time, primaries are super essential, because the only way that the different wings of the popular front all feel like they have buy-in and they're part of the coalition is by allowing all of their candidates, their preferred policy positions, to be hashed out in that primary.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Period.
I fear that we've gotten to a point where enough of our coalition side has skewed into the my way or the highway. And we need those votes.
We do. We do, and I hate to say it this way, but unfortunately, we're going to all learn as a nation what happens when that happens. We already are learning.
I believe we learned that since 2016.
Yeah, you would hope, right? But I think the pitfall that we had is that after COVID, everybody wanted to be 2019 again, right? Everybody wanted 2019 because 2019, like if you looked at the economics or whatever, it was good. Trump was distracted and didn't really do a whole lot of policy stuff, because the first Trump administration, right? They had all the adults in the room around him. They went through them very quickly. How many secretaries of state did he have? But they really limited the damage. And I think that's why everybody kind of had rose-colored goggles about the Trump administration, because they were just thinking about 2019. People have completely externalized the fact that Trump was the president for most of COVID, right? They forgot. Like, ask random dipshits who the president of the United States was in 2020, and you will be very disappointed by a good chunk of those answers, right? I think this time with him off the chain, it's one of those, it's a stove touching moment, right? People are touching the stove. And you wish that people didn't have to touch the stove, but I think we're there. And I think we are unfortunately seeing the consequences of a lot of stove touching. And all we can do, right, is hope people learn from that and do our best to make sure people learn from that by having those conversations, by being out there, by being public. And again, this is where it falls on regular people, drawing those conclusions and drawing those connections for the people who are not politically engaged.
Man, before I have to leave to do my little kid thing, put the little guy down. So before I leave, I'm gonna leave with this one and just see where it goes. You guys can mull on it while I'm gone. I'll drop a bomb and leave is what I'm gonna do.
Okay.
So when you're talking about touching the stove, I would just like to remind everybody that truckers lost a lot. Truck companies failed. Farmers got bailed out because of Trump. Schools were burning books in Texas. And I just would like to remind people that the only thing that happened good with the economy was whatever was left over from Barack Obama.
Yep.
Because he hadn't even done anything except tariffs. And the one thing he did ruined 2 or 3 different entire segments of the economy. So even then, those people voted for him again. They touched the stove again. I guarantee you they will again, because the reason why they keep going back and putting their tongue on the frozen pole is because not just racism, sexism, all of that. The main reason why is because the promise of power.
Yeah.
The white people in America are deathly afraid of losing this idea of being in charge and being powerful. And every time somebody comes, I don't care if they're ex-MAGA and you're crying and you know better. Fuck you, bro. The truth is the next time somebody dangles that again, you're gonna forget all of the great things the black guy did and all of the bad things that the white guy did, because it is insatiable. It's human. It's reptile brain. Another megalomaniacal maniac, another big mouth carnival barker will come again, and they will dangle that I got your power here. I know you had to give it up and cry and say that you were wrong, but this time I got your power here, and they will do it again.
Yeah,
I think.
I mean, it was Johnson that said, I'm not going to use the words exactly because he used words that we don't use anymore.
Right.
You can convince, the poorest white man to, give you all of his money if you convince him that he's better than the best black man, right?
Yeah.
I'm paraphrasing, obviously.
Obviously.
But it's true today, obviously, right? And I think that is something that we're always going to have to be on watch for, right? And I do think there's going to be 30% of this country that is going to be against whatever we do. I think that the floor, the MAGA floor, is 30%.
That's the key. That's the key. Is that we have to admit that part first.
Absolutely.
Right? Because if we admit that part, we'll stop trying to go get these motherfuckers.
Right. Listen, and that's why I've kind of been saying the way I was saying. They're going to be a hardcore, unreconstructed, never going to change base, right? That's their floor. And that's, it's 100 million people. Like, that's not a small number of people. However, if the rest of the country is engaged and doesn't fall asleep and doesn't get distracted and doesn't turn around and go, oh, well, this thing is not exactly how I want, I'm going to go home and take my ball and go home. They don't matter. Right.
Yep.
You cannot do a governing coalition in the United States of America with a third of the population. And that third of the population is predominantly rural too, right? Like the numbers don't add up. So yeah, listen, and you know what? And I'm going to be blunt, right? Like, if you are out there and you voted for Donald Trump 3 times and you think everything is going great and you've got a bumper sticker or a flag flying in front of your house, I'm not going to go and try and get your vote. If you have that epiphany now in the midterms and go, crap, this was all a terrible mistake, great. But I'm not going to go out of my way to win you over. I'm looking to get the people who don't pay attention to politics. They tune in, they vote, maybe. But now they're all wondering why things are getting worse. And maybe it's the teacher part in me, right? But this is an opportunity to educate a big chunk of the American population about what I said before, right? You may not care about politics, but politics cares about you. And you can't afford to ignore it anymore because you ignored politics, right? Everything's more expensive for your kids. Gas prices are out of control. We're in a war with Iran, right? We've got billionaires looting the country, right? Elon Musk belongs in jail. Anderson, all the rest of them, straight to jail, right? That was accomplished in part because a large percentage of the population was apathetic. And the stove touching isn't for the hardcore, unreconstructed MAGA people. It's unfortunate for the people who just want to ignore politics and think it doesn't impact them.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think the last time, right, that we saw this was during the Great Depression. You had a huge segment of the population go, oh crap, we don't care. And then you elected, FDR to 4 consecutive terms to the point where they had to change the Constitution to make sure it didn't happen again, right? You had Democratic majorities, Eisenhower aside, you had Democrats governing all through to Nixon, right? And then the party system changed and we come back to where we are. I truly believe that we are at the start of a new party system. And I think that it falls on us to make sure that our new faction in this new party system is as big and as dominant as possible to marginalize and minimize that 30% of the population that will never be reconstructed, right? And let them rot and let them do their thing. And you know what? You can bitch all you want, but you're still going to get universal health care. You're still going to get built. Your electricity is still going to flow because the rest of us are going to take care of you whether you like it or not.
Love it.
And maybe your kids will know better. And then if you still aren't reconstructed, when your kids aren't talking to you in 20 years.
Some people are just irredeemable.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
I believe,
like Trump says. Anyway, I'll let Sarge end it. I'm sorry. I won't go into Trump's statement.
You're killing me, Drill Sarge.
I gotta go. Actually, come on, let's do this.
My wife brought me this giant strawberry, and I'm gonna, as soon as I end the stream, I'm gonna put it in my mouth and be like the pussy eating motherfucker I am. Anyway, all right, so.
How are we not canceled?
Garrett, we're sorry for your campaign.
Listen,
Sorry.
It's all good.
We're gonna have to get you back on here again, Garrett. This was a great evening. Good talking with you.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Guys.
Anybody who can get on the stream and dish about BattleTech miniatures, I'm down to shoot the shit. I love that. BattleTech
run,
is one
guys.
of my first loves.
Take it
Much love.
meet you.
That is going to be our time for tonight.
You're right.
Garrett Petersen, candidate for New York District 2, which is the Long Island Islip area. Thank you for being with us tonight. Thank you for putting up with my Macho Man Randy Savage bullshit to lead off. Thank you so much for all of the things, talking about your campaign, all the way into nerdy stuff, all the way to Reconstruction Democrats. Doug, Matt, thank you so much for helping me out so I don't cough my ass off the whole stream. Fam of Liberty that tuned in, love you. Thank you all for tuning in as well. If you're in New York and you're in New York District 2, that's your guy to vote for. Garrett Petersen. Sons of
Thanks a lot,
Liberty
guys.
approved.
Appreciate having me. GarrettForNY.com. Donate, sign up to volunteer. We'll have a good time, and let's fix our country.
And if you don't have a good time, you come and let me know, and I'll be like, why do you hate freedom? I'll put that shit right. That's our time for tonight. Garrett, you said you've been following the page forever. Do you know Two Claps and a Rick?
Yes, I think.
You ain't been following the lives. That's what happens.
Yeah, that's so. Yeah, getting and sitting and watching a live stream is hard when you have kids and everything like that. So
I feel that.
After
All right,
of
so
this.
Two Claps and a Rick is, you just say Two Claps and a Rick, and then you woo.
woo. Okay.
You want to close this out?
Okay.
You want to close this out?
All right.
Do it, Garrett.
No, you got to
No,
say
you
it.
gotta-
Two claps in the
You
ring.
gotta say it.
Say it and then.
Then
Okay.
we do it. Then we all do it together.
Oh, okay. All right.
We're seals here. is what's happening.
Understood. All right. Two claps and a Rick.
Woo! Beautiful.